Hey everyone, and welcome to Back to School Night, specifically my science classroom. I am Mrs. Jordan, and if you're watching this, I'm assuming I am your child's science teacher for this 2021-2022 school year. You should have at least got an email from me if your email was on record correctly with the school through PowerSchool, just generally introducing myself and welcoming all of you, parents and students, back end of August, beginning of September to school and to my class. And I'm just really looking forward to hopefully interacting with you throughout the year. As far as my class structure, grading, curriculum, all of that stuff, that's basically what I'll be talking about throughout this presentation. I'm hoping to keep it short and sweet. If you have any other questions by the end of this, you want me to elaborate on anything, please don't hesitate to send me an email, and I will be showing you my email at the end of class. If you didn't receive an email from me introducing myself, please definitely reach out anyway to give me your correct email. I would love to have that on file, and then reach out to the school as well so that they may update it as well. So in any regard, welcome back. About me, generally, this is my 7th year teaching science at the middle school level. I do have an undergraduate BS degree in chemistry from Villanova University, so science is definitely my thing. I did extensive undergraduate research in carbohydrate chemistry. I am I was a practicing attorney. I practiced intellectual property law in a former life. Was it my life's passion? Teaching I come from a family of teachers, so I made the transition about 7 years ago. Generally, nothing makes me prouder than just really striving to sort of establish relationships and inspire students to love science. I went into science because I am a product of the mentor science teachers that I had, and I feel accomplished when I'm able to sort of bridge that support between home and the classroom. As we've learned from the past year and a half or so, I really made it my mission to do that in person and or virtually should the situation call for it. General disclaimer before I continue, my classroom lights tend to shut off occasionally, so if you see me sort of adjust myself, I'm just doing that so that it won't turn off. First off the bat, communication is definitely key. This is my email, vjordan@westorangeschools.org. I will reply within 48 hours. There is no guarantee for answer the same day after 4 p.m. So if you send me an email after 4 p.m., I try to get back to my email at some point in the evening. But if I'm unable to do so, again, because I am a wife and a mother, after school hours, then you'll definitely get a reply from me within the next 36 or so hour period. Occasionally, if Google Meet should call for it, I may request a Google Meet with you to just be able to, be face-to-face as we discuss your child's progress, any points of concern, etc. We are sort of conquering and hoping to conquer a new curriculum this year, just brilliantly drafted, rooted in this program instructional materials called Open SciEd. This is taken from their website. Their goal is to produce and distribute materials that get kids excited and curious about the world around them and confident in their ability to figure it out through questioning, investigating, and solving problems. I sort of love that social emotional component to approaching any discipline, especially science, which is heavily rooted. I mean, if you think about why we practice science in empathy and trying to further scientific research to bring good to everybody. Our curriculum is rooted and addresses the NGSS principles, next generation science standards. We are trying to work more than ever with content that's really rooted in their daily lives, hands-on investigations. This year more than ever, which I'm super excited about, they're constantly going to have their hands-on stuff, whether it's instruments, different materials. I do build in differentiated instruction and assessments. I can do that through or to address various ability levels within my classroom, to offer opportunities for varied grouping when engaging in the collaborative work, and to empower the teacher to vary the pacing and rigor of the instruction and materials. Give me 1 second. Just trying to get my light back on. There we go. I do want to integrate activities and a lot of project-based learning. To be honest with you, we do some, formal assessments. That's the standard, paper and pencil, and now it's Google Forms. But we do those sort of traditional assessments, but a lot of it is project-based learning and project-based assessments. These kids, I see them come to life when they get those project-based assessments and they're able to, show that proficiency, show that mastery in a really hands-on ways. General breakdown of science topics. We do address pretty much a little bit of everything this year. Some physical science with chemical reactions in matter, which is what we're currently doing. We kicked it off this week. Chemical reactions in energy. Related, but then we sort of switch a little bit to the life science umbrella, is metabolic reactions. So really talking about body systems and specifically the chemical reactions that sort of take place in our own body. And earth science, how that matter that we just learned about cycles throughout our environment, photosynthesis, ecosystem dynamics, earth in space, which is always a fun one, especially come the warmer weather. We can get the kids outside looking at some stars. Grading, major and minor grades, same as last year. The major grades are going to be your tests, your projects, your project-based assessments, your PBAs, your longer quizzes, and labs. We do a lot of those lab write-ups, get them into the grain of writing those. Big skill for high school. Minor grades are going to be your nightly homework, shorter quizzes, kind of like your exit tickets, make sure that they're sort of on point and reviewing a little bit every night. Your do-nows, discussion boards, your Q&A, your participation. A day in my classroom always start with checking in with them, taking attendance. There's always a do-now that's posted, 2 or 3 minutes. I then do a homework review, right? Making sure that they are equipped with the right answers or that they understood what the homework was seeking for them to understand. Some open discussion is always integrated. Time for question is purposely laid out, right? So there should never be a time that a student comes to me and the first time I hear that they're having trouble is after class. There's always an opportunity to ask questions during class. I then introduce the objective or lesson of the day. I can do that in a tremendous amount of ways. Technology is a beautiful thing. I could use Nearpods, my Generation Genius resources. I do a lot of virtual or digital interactive notebooks, Flipgrades, PHET virtual labs, a lot of whole group dialogue. I do a lot of supplemental videos that I'll post for the students, teacher demos, student labs, etc. Then we do a wrap up, give them some homework. My homework is always very intentional. I don't always assign it because for me, homework, again, should just be to establish mastery, not as just frivolous, keeping them busy work, right? So, just a little bit of homework. Chromebook usage, we do have a Chromebook card in the classroom. They are used almost daily to support my lessons, to do, to enable independent or collaborative work. I mean, the Google Suite is a beautiful thing. They have been assigned a classroom-based Chromebook. They do clean it with sanitizing wipes immediately following every use. So between my classes, your kid is getting a sanitized Chromebook. And that's, again, just to control that germ spreading between users. And each Chromebook is only ever touched by 4 of the same children. But there's no, random use or untracked use between the days. Types of assessment, again, meaningful homework. Any homework that I give is always due the next day by 8 a.m. unless I say otherwise. I do give a 1 to 2 day grace period for partial credit for late completion. Unfortunately, after that 2-day period, and I send an email reminding them about that homework, after that 2-day period, it's just a 0. But again, there's a lot of opportunities for homework grades. So the student will be, notified that, listen, I still want you to do the homework. I think it's good to achieve that mastery, but, make sure that we hand it in on time next time. Homework is assigned via Google Classroom. Most can actually be completed via the Google Classroom app as well on smartphones. I know that there are some children who don't have access to a device at home, so I've tried to be very purposeful about making sure my assignments can be completed on the Google Classroom app as well. Should they not have access to that smartphone or a home-based computer with access to the internet, it is the students and guardians' responsibility to let me know that so that I can try to make, different resources available to them. Let me have them come in during advisory or just tell them, listen, no worries, just, do it by hand, jot down some answers, some notes, I'll accept it that way. I also give small short quizzes, longer assessments, tests, labs, long-term projects. Tests will generally always be announced 2 days in advance. Longer term projects, I will always pace them, always saying, listen, I would do this night, this night, and, to completion. And then just some other variable assessment tools, my Generation Genius Google Forms, I do general prompts, interactive notebook prompts, do now question prompts, etc. So how does a conscientious student navigate my class successfully? You're going to submit your classwork completed on time. Classwork's going to be graded based on completion or looked at based off of completion. Homework, same perceived effort, accuracy of answers. Again, due by 8 a.m. the day it's due. I want my students to display exemplary behavior, no off-topic chatting, really being generally good to one another, no roasting or bullying. If you need to reference the student handbook, it is there for your reference for more detail. I do encourage parents to support their students by having them do an approximate, 10, 15, 20-minute review of their notes per day, doing something with those notes, rewriting them, making a Quizlet, making flashcards. I think just the science stands for itself that if these students encounter and really interface with that material at least once throughout the course of the night, they're going to be more equipped and it's going to be, more rooted in their memory for the next day's class. Making sure that they review and correct their homework when we do the review and they advocate for themselves, ask questions when necessary, etc. Some general email or Google Classroom expectations: stay organized, have a schedule, check your emails constantly. I told them, really you should be refreshing your email 2-3 times in the evening, up at least until like 6 p.m. to see if you have any correspondence from your teachers, which would include also an email notifying them that something's been posted in Google Classroom. How can you participate as a parent? Really get that Google Classroom login info. Monitor that classwork tab to see what's being assigned. I know I can only speak for myself. I'm incredibly meticulously organized. There will always be a date, what the assignment is, when it was assigned, when it's due. Make sure the homework is being completed nightly. Here's my one tip, if you take anything from this: have them actually open up their documents. Have them actually open up their documents. Sometimes the student accidentally submits their homework and it'll say submitted, but it's blank or it's been erased. We can retrieve it most of the time, but it's just not there. So please make sure you are having them actually open up the document, open up their homework, their submission, to ensure that there is actually content there. Read any announcement that I've posted, and I will specifically take you to Google Classroom to see that. And again, encourage them to write their homework down, do that 10 to 20-minute review a night, and just communicate with kindness, with patience, and with confidence with me, right, with your student. Make sure I have your correct working email. Should you have any questions, definitely do not hesitate to reach out at vjordan@westorangeschools.org. Si tienes preguntas, no dude en comunicarse conmigo por correo electrónico a vjordan@westorangeschools.org. Okay. If your student is in my honors course, all of the general expectations are the same. Some of the differentiated expectations is that honors course students obviously have tighter timelines for their submission of homework and assessments. Okay. Obviously, it's very situationally dependent. I just asked for communication regarding why perhaps the homework may not have been submitted, but generally the expectation is if I assign the homework, it is done by the next day on time by 8 a.m. There are some unannounced short quizzes to monitor that nightly review of material that I've spoken about. I really want to make sure that I'm able to sort of increase the rigor and the pace of my course, that the students are really advocating for themselves and doing what they need to make sure that they are updated with the information, that they are reviewing their information, they are ready to move on at that faster pace. I do assign a weekly graded actively learn reading comprehension article. There are some coinciding and embedded questions along with that, again, just to increase their science literacy. It is assigned every Monday with the expectation that the questions are completed by Friday at 3 p.m. There is a faster pace of learning. It's going to require a strong level of time management and study skills. I do at the beginning of the year try to set them up for success on that. Again, there's a lot of suggested pacing, especially through the longer project-based assessments, teaching them, generally how to pace themselves if they have nightly homework, but also that actively learn and they need to prepare for a project-based assessment that's coming the next week. There's going to be a lot of time management and study skill modeling that has to happen there, and I do try my best to do that. The students obviously have to rise to the occasion and make sure they're ready for that challenge as well. There's definitely more short answer or higher order thinking questions that are integrated into assignments to develop that scientific writing as well. But apart from that, all the expectations are really the same. I'm really just generally excited to work with your students. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out via email to vjordan@westorangeschools.org. Si tienes preguntas, no duden en comunicarse conmigo por correo electrónico a vjordan@westorangeschools.org. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. I really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns, definitely reach out. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a beautiful night.